Who are the Detroit Lions? They are 12-5. They were the 3 seed. Same record during the regular season as the 49ers. 5th in points scored, 23rd in points allowed. They do not match. On offense, they're pretty much a carbon copy in a lot of ways. Ben Johnson's probably could be the best play caller in the NFL. I think he's second. I'd take Shanahan over him. Andy Reid, you want to put into that metric, great, but this year has not been an Andy Reid kind of poster class or master class, whatever you want to say. It's Shanahan and it's Ben Johnson. Now, if we look at the common opponents of teams that both the Lions and 49ers have played this year, the Lions are 6-4 with a +7 differential. Now, they've lost to the Seahawks. They beat the Packers, beat the Bucks, lost to the Ravens, got blown out worse than we did, lost to the Packers, beat the Vikings, lost to the Cowboys, beat the Vikings again, beat the Rams, beat the Bucks. So 6-4, you look at the Niners, we're 6-3 in games of common opponents, but that's if you count the Rams game, which, neither played, but whatever. We're a +65 point differential in those same games if you look at those. And again, we're coming off of a Packers game where nothing went right. You know what I mean? Everything went bad. It was just all bad. And the offense played poorly. A lot of people said, hey, Brock had his worst game. I don't think that he did. You look at the tape, I don't think that's what it was. But what do? You beat the Packers 24-21. Brock Purdy, let's hear from him on what you got to do going from that game to moving forward.
Yeah, for me, it's, you're real with yourself. You understand where you're at as a quarterback, how you played. And it doesn't matter if you play good or bad. Like, you can't, I don't think, take really any of that with you the next week. It's a new game. It's a new scheme. It's a new environment. Everything about it is new. So it's almost like you got to clean the slate, learn from the mistakes, build off of, the good things that you've done. But it's going to be it's a new game. So that's the mental battle that I feel like all the NFL quarterbacks go through, and I think that's where the great ones really, separate themselves from the others. So, yeah, that's how I look at it.
It's a blank slate. You finished strong. You didn't have the best game early, but you did enough to win. Now you've got to just kind of wipe it and you start back over. There's quality teams left outside of Detroit. And I think that Detroit is a quality team, but if you're ranking these 4 teams, I don't know, 95% of people would probably have Detroit 4. Where you have the Niners, that's up for debate. But the Lions are a quality team. They're 12-5. But to say that they are a team, I'm sorry. They're good. They're in a bad division, and they've done enough, and they handle their business. Now, if we look at just the snapshot from a Pro Football Focus analytical standpoint, okay, here are the Lions ranked. Special teams, 12th. That's a huge disadvantage. Probably the biggest disadvantage every single week is 49ers special teams. I just posted the special teams for the Packers game, and I think I dropped like 4 F-bombs because, golly, man, it's just so poorly coached. We're going to be at a huge deficit. And any game where the special teams doesn't cost us a touchdown and miss field goals is a huge win. Last week, special teams gave up a damn touchdown on the 80-yard return. We had the blocked field goal. It was just bad. Mitch Wisnowski's great. Outside of that, it's pretty terrible. Schneider, I think, is one of the worst coaches in the NFL, in my personal opinion. I don't like being negative, but, you fired Hightower, rightfully so, who was one of the worst special teams coordinator for 6 straight years in the NFL. And then you bring in Snyder, who had experience, and we got worse. We've gotten worse. 49ers are 25th. We've gotten worse. Not good. That's their advantage. Now, back to the Lions. They're 18th whenever you're looking at defense. Second on offense. Overall, they're 5th. 49ers in those exact same categories. Special teams, 25th. Remember this, out of 32 teams. We're terrible at special teams. Mitch Wisnowski is the only thing keeping this team from being the dead last, special teams ranked in every category. Mitch is awesome. Defense, we're 2nd. Offense, we're 1st. Overall, we're 1st. So outside of special teams, it would be one-sided. But I don't think that it is. And when we look at just who this team is, they have taken on the persona of their head coach, Dan Campbell, and probably rightfully so, and to a positive thing. He's the gritty, gonna go for it every single time. We go for 2, fake punt, fake field goal, fake whatever, fake your mom, fake everything. That's just what they do. Um, I like him. He's a great, likable guy, very positive. I listened to a lot of his pressers this week, beyond respectful with how he talks about everybody. I love that. I wish I could get better at that myself. I get it. He's likable. But yeah, I don't know. Now, I do think that Shanahan kind of summed up the, I don't want to say like mojo, but like what it is that they bring to the table. The Lions, like if you had to encapsulate kind of their philosophy, here's Kyle Shanahan on just what the Lions try to do offense, defense, special teams wise.
Not much. It's, you look at, I mean, you're aware of it, so you understand it, you prepare for it. They might, when it's third down, they might have 2 tries, a lot more than other teams do, but just percentage-wise, they're willing to go for fake punts and all that stuff. I mean, those guys are trying to steal possessions as much as they can. And I'll tell you after the game whether that's a good thing or bad thing for us. I mean, anytime you try to steal possessions, you're also offering an opportunity to lose possessions. So those are opportunities for them, but they're also big opportunities for us too. And you come up with more than half of them, I feel it's in our favor.
And so there you go. So like with all these fakes and all the go for 2s and 4th downs and whatever, and we saw it last week, right? They go for it on 4th and 1 quarterback sneak. Dre Greenlaw says, not in my house. And that was a huge turnover. We go down, score a touchdown, get the lead. Like that changed the damn game. Is that going to happen this week again? Now, let's go through the journey of Dan Campbell. This is probably one of my favorite practices. Just how they got to where they are. Dan Campbell, he's a Texas boy, Clifton, Texas. He's 47 years old. Glen Rose High School. What's up, man? I think the Bulldogs, if I'm not, I think it's the Bulldogs. Yeah, Glen Rose, red, white. I remember. Went to Texas A&M. Hate that. He was a 3rd-round pick. Played for the Giants, Cowboys, Lions, and then Saints. Awesome career as a tight end and special teamer. And the videos going around. I couldn't pull it. YouTube wouldn't let me. I tried. It took down my video a couple times where he gets pissed off on the sidelines and starts throwing and kicking his helmet. And the funny thing is, that was when he was with the Giants against the 49ers. And he's sitting next to Jeremy Shockey, who's like, bad man personified back in, the late 90s. And Shockey's like, man, calm down. Like, imagine having Jeremy Shockey, of all people, telling you to calm down. That is just comical. Then as a coach, he was with the Dolphins in 2010. Intern, became tight end coach, then interim head coach, then went to the Saints, was there for 5 years, and then became the Lions head coach in 2021. He's been awesome. He's done a lot of good. Now, their offensive coordinator, which Ben Johnson's incredible, and this is huge too, because if you're a Lions fan, Ben Johnson's gone after this year. This is it. And so, everybody kept saying all offseason, like, oh, the window's now. It's closing for the 49ers. I don't think so. I don't see that. We're bringing back almost everybody next year. Not that that's our concern, but for the Lions, their biggest advantage is their offense. And they're about to lose the mastermind of the whole damn thing, Ben Johnson. He did 6 interviews this week. 6. In preparing for the NFC Championship, Ben Johnson had 6 interviews. Some of them went over 4.5 hours. Now, you do this on your own time. 49ers know exactly what this is like. We're always getting our coaches poached and whatever else. But Ben Johnson ain't never been in an NFC Championship before. The Lions haven't either. 6 head coaching interviews. He's going to get 1. He's leaving. And so this is a little bit of a, all right, let's get this done. Now, he's from Charleston, South Carolina. And Asheville, and then he went to North Carolina Tar Heel. His coaching, Boston College, GA, to tight end coach. Then Miami as an assistant in 2012, gets promoted to assistant quarterbacks coach, then tight end coach with the Dolphins. Then all the way up to wide receiver coach. Then he joins the Lions in 2019 as a quality control, then tight ends coach for the Lions, then passing game coordinator, now offensive coordinator. He's been incredible. He's the new guy. Outside zone, inside zone. He's not really part of the Shanahan tree, but it's very similar. It's mimicked, right? I mean, you look at it's been Miami and it's been the Lions. Now, their DC, which is interesting, Aaron Glenn, by far one of my favorite players from the Saints back in the day. Hard Knocks did him the best favor because his personality was just on the bright stage and everybody saw how great he was. And he's getting head coaching interviews too. He could be gone. He's a terrible defensive coordinator. I don't understand it. His personality is great. The way he works with players, all the players love him, all that stuff. He is not a good DC. Watching the silent tape film, holes and inconsistencies everywhere. And the rankings reflect that. Another Texas boy, Humble, Texas. I love that, man. Went to Nimitz High School. They still got a really good program. And again, another Texas A&M guy. Don't like that. Was a first-round pick, 12th overall in the 2012 draft. He was with the Jets, Texans, Cowboys, Jaguars, Saints. Bounced around a lot. Jets were the majority of his career. But then he started coaching. Browns, Saints, and when he was with the Browns in 2014 to 15, guess who was the offensive coordinator? His first year as a coach, he was the DB coach. Kyle Shanahan was the OC there for the first year that he was there. So I don't think he belongs in the Kyle Shanahan tree by any stretch, but they did have overlap in his first year coaching with the Browns. And he's been the DC with the Lions now for 3 years since Campbell showed up there. And let's just be honest, they haven't been good. In fact, they've been bad. And so like, it's weird to me because like when you're hiring a head coach, what do you want? Do you want a schematic advantage or do you want a personality? Dan Campbell just brings personality. He doesn't call plays. He doesn't call defense. He doesn't run special teams. He's just the CEO guy. The 49ers are turning into a little bit more of what teams want. And the fact that that's a play caller, he's a designer, he's the head coach, he's all those things. There's lots of different ways to do it. And so it's kind of a fun little, how do you want to build your team? Because these two teams are built differently. There is no doubt about that. Completely differently.
The 49ers Rush Podcast.